Iman.
Hello. Hi, Sayed.
Hi,
This
Iman.
is so exciting. I'm so excited that we're having this fun conversation together.
Likewise,
How are you?
likewise, my friend. It's great to be
Yes,
back in touch with you after so long, after I don't know how many years, three
I
years.
know. I mean, we were always in touch, just,
Yeah.
the regular, but we haven't caught up
Yes.
until, funny enough, this pandemic we're in.
Yes.
So, yeah, but I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, likewise. Are you in touch with the rest of the gang or no? No one. Or yes?
Yes, I'm in touch with some.
Okay.
It's hard to stay in touch,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yes.
So we met for the
Um,
first time when you came in for your internship in an organization that I was already working in, right?
yes,
Within the same.
yes,
And then um, you were one of the very few good ones who happened to get that permanent position within the organization. So you got a job out of the internship. That is the probably the dream of all interns who come in large organizations. You got that.
I mean, I was lucky. Yes, I was lucky and grateful, and it was amazing. Yeah, I mean, it was really nice to meet you. You were one of the people who, made me feel super comfortable right when I started. And anyone who joins is always, scared, especially when you're the intern. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, and
So
we
so
always had
we kind of
fun.
worked together for, I don't know, few months, like 7, 8, 9 months. And then in February, your father passed away. I was still in Dubai. But then I had to leave for my project to Iran, and then we kind of lost touch. And I did not know I lost your picture. I don't see. Yeah,
Yes, sorry, it's
we
back.
kind of lost. We kind of lost. I mean, we didn't lose touch, but as you said, we did not really catch up.
Yeah.
And then in 2017 February, your father passed away, and then you went through the entire thing that we're going to talk about today. So your memoir, not giving up even when you do. I want to know why did you feel like you had to write it? And thank you for doing it, because like most of us, we are of um, not afraid of talking about our insecurities and our vulnerabilities, um, and not open about it. We try to hide it as much as possible. But you, on the other hand, you went on to another length. You actually wrote a book about it, which is due to be going online pretty soon. And by the time this session will go live, your book would already be available um, for purchase. So I want to ask you what made you write that book about the whole thing. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sayed. Yeah, I mean, about 3 years ago, February, a little more than 3 years ago, I lost my dad to a sudden heart attack. There were no signs, nothing. We were just together that morning, and it was something as many people, neither, I mean, me or nor my family were prepared for this moment. You're not prepared for it. You don't know how to deal with it. And overnight, your entire life abruptly just is changed forever.
And he was
And
perfectly fine. He was young, physically fit. Everything was okay, right?
yeah,
Mm.
completely no history, nothing. He was relatively young. I mean, still in his 50s and
Mm.
super fine. So there's this shock factor, and along with it is, well, I still need to go to work. I still have to wake up and do things, and kind of life has to go on. So you're dealing with a lot of extreme emotions,
Yeah.
and it was very difficult for me. But after about a year and a half, or a little less maybe, it started to take a toll on me. There's a lot of pressure because you really don't know what to do or how to manage your feelings. And of course, this toll is emotional and mental, but also physical. I started to to be physically drained. My body was really affected. So I would start to get anxiety attacks or issues like that, you know, and I was clearly feeling depressed. And so I decided to get help. And in the process, and during the process, I would journal a lot. So about last October, I would say. So it had been, I was still dealing with a lot of things, but I was, you know, I decided maybe I should write about this. I want people to know my story because I think it can make a difference, not for me, but for anyone who's suffering, you know. So yeah, so that's how this memoir came about. I decided to call it a memoir, I mean, it's a memoir because I thought it just captures a part that is short. It's 3 years of my life, but maybe the most significant in the process that I've dealt with. So I decided to write about it. I don't know. I'm just hoping that, you know, the feedback that I'm getting has been good so far. And for me, if only one person can have the positive change that I've had from reading it, then I'm good, you know, because when I started to understand my condition and what was going on, I had this new awareness of, you know, mental health and how important it is. And I started to see around me where, you know, whether it's me or the people around me, until really I went through, you know, a depression or went through anxiety, or the post-traumatic stress disorder and all of that, I had no understanding, no awareness, and no one around me did either. And so I started to feel that, why is that? Like, there's definitely a stigma around mental health, and somehow this like shame that comes with it for some reason. And I really felt that by sharing my story, that maybe I can help destigmatize mental health, or in a way normalize mental illness, because I didn't understand why something so important, you know, after going through it, was not, you know, let's say awareness wasn't spread enough about it. And finally, also, I felt that I want anyone, you know, when you discover something and you just want the world to know it, in a way, for me, it was a breakthrough, because I just feel that I want anyone who's suffering or feeling anything of the things that, you know, I mentioned or I went through, or just having a difficult time, to know that, first of all, they're not alone, and that they can get better. And I feel that for me, the most impact I felt, and so I want to do the same, was through hearing other people's own stories. You know, like, I don't know, I think of it of like, kind of, you know, when like women, they want to support each other. You know, we women, we want to share each other's success. We help each other, or people of minorities or whatever. And I feel like it's the same with mental health.
Agreed.
So all of us people who are going through a hard time, and, you know, were able to get past it, need to share their story, because that's, to me, one of the most impactful ways that it will start to become more normal. And so that's why I wrote this memoir.
Like I said, I mean, I thank you once again for doing that. I think it will help a lot of people, because there's not a lot of content available from outside the movies. Yes, you have a lot of fictional stories about it, but not a lot of people come forward and share share their experience. So do you think that the entire ordeal changed you in any way? How
Yeah,
yeah.
it definitely. So yeah, I mean, the biggest breakthrough or turnaround for me was this new appreciation for mental health, but also, self-awareness. You go through this journey of trying to understand yourself better. But so, for example, I think, and I want to also know what how you feel or what you think. But me before going through a depression or going through therapy or anything, we would talk about. I would hear people, and I would be one of these people. I'd be like, I'm so depressed. My favorite show just ended. Or like, I just got a panic attack because my coffee almost spilled or something. And I mean, I feel like I used to be that person who really underestimates how important and also scary these things really are. It wasn't something, that we took seriously. And I felt really ignorant. And I was like, what if I said something like that in front of someone who was really actually suffering from depression or anxiety?
Still the case. I mean, most of the people, when you talk about something of this sort, because I've had friends who have had this condition, so I think I am probably a little more aware of what
Right.
goes through when they're going through this. But I've seen people saying stuff like, "Why don't you just snap out of it? Why don't you not think about it? I mean, just don't think about all these things. Just come out of it," which I believe is very, very ignorant. And I think
Yeah.
this is important for people to understand that you cannot just snap out of it.
Yes. I mean, that is something 100%, because when you're going through these things, and yeah, there's this kind of like low-key bullying that comes with it a little, like, what's wrong with this person? Why don't they just get over themselves? Or and the thing is that anyone who suffers from anxiety, for example, or from depression or something would know that, of course I don't want to feel this way. Of course I want to snap out of it. Of course I think, that I'm overreacting, or I know I should be fine, but I'm not. And it's something I can't control. And that's something that I started to understand a lot more once I started to go through it. What I want people to understand, or I would speak for myself. I mean, what I started to understand once I started to, okay, so what is anxiety? What is happening? So yes, something when you have an anxiety attack, and also something I guess worth mentioning, because on one of the other episodes that you had, where you spoke about burnout with your guest or your friend who was a psychiatrist and stuff. And for me, that was, so whether it's burnout or anxiety or whatever, maybe what led up to it was stress or depression, or something happened. And that's what therapy could be for, to kind of help you understand, where did this come from? What led to that? But what actually happens the moment you're having, like, a stress an anxiety attack or something like that, is just chemical imbalances. There's something in your system is wrong happening, happening there. And so when you tell someone, why don't you just snap out of it or something, it's not something I can control. There's something going on in my brain's, physiology. And so that's why there are a lot of ways to get help. I mean, whether it's medication or therapy or whatever, or talking about it.
Yeah.
But
So wait, I'll stop you here, and I want you to talk a little bit about when you decided that you actually wanted to go into therapy. What made you decide that you need therapy now? Because that may help a lot of people going through the same thing, but you're basically in the midst of taking a call whether they need therapy or they don't need.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what made you consider therapy, and what was it like getting the therapy?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. After, so everything I just explained now about anxiety and the depression and what happens,
Yeah.
I had no idea about. I found that out later on, when I decided to go to therapy and all of that. So I was just going through all of this unknown discomfort and pain and without any explanation. And it was that, I think, is the worst part, not knowing what is causing your pain. And I felt that I was really, really, really sad. And I think, and that's where kind of the title of my memoir kind of, because it's like not giving up even when you do. So I think I was in that moment where I'm like, I do give up. I mean, I'm done and there's nothing I can do, but I don't want to. So I won't, but I need help now. And that's kind of when that moment where you just feel so helpless and you start to notice that your thoughts are, not in a good place. I wasn't in a good place. And so that was when I decided to go to therapy, and it was the best decision I made. I think one of the best decisions I made in my entire life. Yeah.
Do you remember anything that goes on in the room when you
In therapy? Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an experience, because before you go, the only experience you see is, on movies and
it's
TV shows and stuff.
it's often ridiculed. You're lying down.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't lying down. I'm just, I'm sitting in an office in a very nice, comfortable couch in front of the therapist.
Dubai, right? You're in Dubai.
Yeah, I was in Dubai. Okay. And yeah, I think for me, what was different was kind of like, and that's another thing, like when you're not feeling okay, when you have a cold or the flu, or maybe it's something serious, you go to the doctor, you figure out what's wrong, you take it seriously and everything. But with, let's say, when it comes to your mind, the process is a little different. It's the same thing. I mean, it still deserves to be taken seriously by a professional, but maybe the process is longer, because now you're talking about, you're breaking down your entire life. And for me, I think I was very just like, so it's obviously a little awkward at first, like, yeah, I'm depressed. So, like, I don't know what to do here, but so what's your solution? And I remember that session, because she's like, no, it doesn't really work like that, and I saw once this meme or something, or sorry, like an infographic drawing. And for me, this is exactly what therapy is. It has a picture of a person with that mind bubble. Yeah. That mind, like whatever you call it, bubble thingy.
A call out.
And yes, that. So, and they're just like threads that are tangled. When like threads tangle with each other and there's like no way you can take it out, or it's all over. And then they have a picture of the same person, after therapy, with the same bubble. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the threads are untangled, and these threads are your thoughts, basically. There's a lot that's in the wrong place, in the wrong, and you just go back and you understand the underlying root causes, roots to the problems, and you start to learn how to sort of, let's say, because, we're born or with traits engraved in us. They base every action we take, and maybe we went through something and we never really overcame it, and so that pain sticks with you. And so until you go back to it, you untangle it, you see, you heal from it,
I just
then
I just remembered a couple of things from your book just now, and wanted you to talk a little bit about them because before I forget them. So there was one incident where you met up with one of your friends, and the friend says, "Why are you being so mean to Iman?" Right?
yeah,
That's when
yeah,
that allowed you to think that yes, realize that yes, you are being mean to yourself, and then
yeah,
you get some help, and most importantly, before it moves ahead, you start loving yourself again. You need to,
right,
I, I,
yeah,
I want you to talk a little bit about that because that was an interesting
yeah,
part from the book. Yes.
yeah. No, that was. It's funny. Sometimes the simplest things have the strongest impact, and when you're going through depression or anxiety, you definitely feel down. Your self-esteem feels broken. You feel kind of helpless, like, why can't I fix this? What's going on with me? What's wrong with me? What's my problem? And so these are all like examples of self-hate, and it's very important. And yes, thank you for bringing that up, because I just felt like, you know once I started to just show a bit more compassion with myself,
Mm.
you know, the healing process became a little bit easier. That it's okay if I'm not okay. It's okay if I feel that, things are, I'm helpless right now. It is what it is, and I think that acceptance of yourself in your lowest is very important, because I think, like, in moments of, let's say, most like desperation or something, you don't want to give up on yourself. You want to just like be the person who's behind you, kind of, and I think that's why when she said that to me, my friend, like, you're being so mean to Iman, I was like, oh my God, that's, I feel, I just wanted to like hug myself and like, and be nicer to myself and just be kinder and just kind of like,
So
yeah, why am I so
was
mean to myself?
was it like 24/7 bad, or there were times where when you felt better also? How was it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely ups and downs,
Okay.
but I would say that for me it was, yeah, it was 3 years of dealing with, kind of going through the grief. For me, it took me about 3 years. It's
Yeah.
not something that, of course, it's will live with me forever, but I think it took me a long time to feel ready to kind of move on and accept the new reality that, kind of, let's say, life without my dad.
Yeah, so you spoke about your condition, specifically depression, PTSD, anxiety. But is there anything that you would want to say to people who are generally going through a difficult time, not necessarily depression or anxiety, a clinical condition, but generally going through a difficult time? Do you have, because you went through that struggle, and that struggle was long to
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
I think for me, the most important thing would be for anyone who's going through a difficult time or struggling,
Mhm.
is to get help. I mean, that would be, I think that
Professional help.
people feel, yeah, sometimes, but maybe that first step, you need to tell someone, whether it's you make an appointment with a therapist, someone in your family, someone close to you, a peer, but someone you trust, just, and figure it out, but when you feel that moment of desperation or something, and hopefully you don't get there, but call someone, let someone know how you're feeling. I think that's very important. And also try to understand your condition. You know, a lot of people are, I mean, so many people are going through a lot of things, and I was like that, so I would probably assume that a lot of people are the same. I would just kind of say, well, I guess that's just who I am. I guess that's just what I'm going through right now. But no, actually, there are ways to work through it. You know, you don't have to live with a condition, or at least learn how to live with it, you know? Yeah. I mean, I still get anxious sometimes. But now I know what is an anxiety attack, you know, what happened, how can I de-stress, and eventually it goes away, you know. So I think getting help and understanding your condition or what is causing that pain is so important, I would say.
I agree with you. I think, and I've seen some of my close friends in the last 15, 20 years ago, even though when the entire condition was not pretty much diagnosed or very well diagnosed. You know, I had a very close friend of mine who was going through something of this sort. It was severe at some occasions, and there were incidences where he would go outside in snowfall. He was in the UK. He would go outside in snowfall, bare-chested, and he would just stand there just for his pain to go away, stuff like that. And even then, there was very little awareness on what he should be doing. And after that, after quite a long time of his struggle, I think he went through it for a good 5-6 years before he first decided to see a psychiatrist. And then he got help. It was a long journey, but now he's stabilized. He's very good, and the improvement started to come about with the treatment, not before the treatment. So yes, that people need to get some professional help. For you, how did the whole thing change? Did you think it changed you forever? Are there any changes in Eman that I knew of from before?
I mean, a lot of me is the same, but no, it's changed a lot for me, because I feel that, you know, how can I say? Because it's kind of it's a lot, you know. It's a bit of overwhelming when you learn so many new things that you had no idea of, and you were living your life for all this time. But yeah, it shaped me in many ways, I think, it's shaping my future. I feel that I've definitely become more compassionate, you know, more accepting. I feel that I have a new like understanding of what you know, when they say like everyone struggles, or I think that now I feel that I have a better understanding of who I am. I mean, I know myself. I've gone through a lot of, you know, untangling of a lot of pain and things, not just from my dad's passing, but from also, you know, the 30 years that I've lived. And I feel that I understand that, you know, sometimes, like you were saying, you know, when your friend or when someone would do something and you'd normally, you know, think why they do that wasn't cool or something. But I feel that I just know that there's something else behind that. There's a reason for that. There's something. And so I just think that for me, definitely changed a lot about that. And I love it. I love that I can talk to people about it. I love that, you know, we can, once you talk to someone who's going through something and you just immediately make that connection and you feel that things can get better. So yeah, I feel like that's like a new passion I've accustomed to, I guess.
And I think this is what has changed in the last 3 to 4 years, not And now people are, coming up like yourself, who are brave enough to actually, and basically this is, and you're not doing it for yourself. And I know that you started journaling it because you wanted yourself to heal, but now when you're coming out and speaking about it, I know for a fact that you want to help people out, and people like you will make a difference. And this is one of the steps that needs to be taken, not only for the people who are suffering from it, but also for the people who are suffering because of their loved ones, right?
Yeah.
So that I don't act like a complete jerk when somebody close to me comes to me and tell me what he's feeling.
You're never a jerk, Sayed. No, yeah. I mean, thank you so much. I do feel that. I do feel that. I hope that my story, I hope that, anyone who's suffering, who sees this or who reads my memoir or who wants to reach out, just feels like that moment of, a little bit of hope that, oh, it's going to be okay, because it will. So that's really what I hope for.
So not giving up even when you do, it should be up and running or online available when we go live with this session, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'll send you all the details so you can also share them.
I will.
Yes.
I wish you a lot of success with this.
That was amazing. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we did this.